I know that at some point when I was in college, I kept talking about how I wanted to get my degree, go to California and sculpt and do set design and special effects and save money and live the lifestyle, and it's California and save some money and to do this and then do something else and save some money, and then someday I'll come back and have an art studio in the Midwest here and I'll create art for the rest of my life. And by the time my senior year came, I went, wait a minute, what have I just been saying? I need to go somewhere else to create a life, to save money, to come right back to what I want to do already. Well, why don't I just stay here and do it? Left the Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design and took over an abandoned warehouse space in the 3rd Ward, and we basically renovated it into a gallery space and invited people down to go to gallery night. And what we did is we made furniture out of junk from the buildings. And then we started selling that furniture. The entire idea of it was that if you could sell a product, something somebody could use in the condos, then we could make money to make more furniture and more art. The idea was to eventually have a blooming art gallery, design furniture, studio space, and who knows what. I choose how I want to live my life based off this little hub. It often gets asked to me, why didn't I start this business in Chicago or Los Angeles or something? And I tell them that if you look around, within 15 minutes from where I'm standing, I can find my wood products, my metals, my plastics, all of my trade goods, the assembly, the machining companies, and I can find people with unbelievable work ethic to work with, to partner with, and to create. And you do that in Chicago, you spend 45 minutes just to go get paint and 45 minutes to come back. Here, these people are very open, their services are willing to provide, and I believe if that's the kind of service that they're providing us, my turnaround is easier for my client, I have a happier client, therefore the happier client is going to ask for more. So, that's a theory that I happen to believe in, but in the last 10 years, something's worked, because if you would have asked me if I'd have been doing what I'm doing today 10 years ago, I would never have thought it possible. Wouldn't even have crossed my mind. But I've learned in the last 10 years that the diversity of the people that we have to work with and the openness to what I thought was really closed off and, I want to say very sterile or opinionated is not as much as what people think it is. And really what I've been explaining to people what our design company is it's that generation of blue-collar work ethic, the old craftsman, and the artist designer merging for a career. There was a missing niche in the creative industries for us. There are the architects and there are the builders. There are the construction workers. There are what I call the weekend warrior hobby person. What's happening is they're not communicating, they're not connecting necessarily as well. Or if they do, there's often too much markup in between the jump and projects get killed. So what we were doing was focusing on design, but focusing on design with products we knew we could acquire cost effectively. And in doing that, we would draw and design stuff for our clients already knowing we could build it and design it to fit within their budget, so when we showed them something, we were not wasting their time. And by that happening, it grew from project to project to project. The idea of what we do when we build spaces is specifically in my head is this: I want you to forget about your problems. Your everyday worries, your woes, your concerns. If it's your birthday, your anniversary, if it's just to get out and release for a Friday night, I want you to get into a space, step into that environment, have that beer, that soda, or that food, take in a breath and say, you know what, life isn't so bad. There's some really interesting things here. And oh, by the way, I guess I'm not somewhere else in the rest of the world. I'm not in Ireland, I'm not in France, I'm in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And if you can take somebody and put them in that environment and let them forget for a little while, you're going to be able to get them to go out more, to more places. The more places you go out to, the more you're contributing back into the community itself. And I tell people that, think about Milwaukee 20 years ago downtown. The nightlife was just scary. And I was a part of that just starting out, and I remember saying, I want to build really cool places so that I have places to go to. So part of it's selfish for me. And the reality is, 20 years later, I've worked on just under 40 bars and restaurants in this Milwaukee area. And I can go from place to place, and we're drawing people to go out, and they hop from place to place to place, and they go out there, they're spending money, they're creating experiences, bartenders, servers, and people that come in from other cities to watch sporting events and venues and Summerfest, and they're realizing that Milwaukee isn't just about the sports, isn't just about the festival. that this city's got really cool culture. It's got visually dynamic spaces to go and enjoy, and tons of variety of foods and services and products and things that they can acquire when they're here. And it really, for my opinion, becomes an eye-opening experience. So when I have people that come into town, I love taking them into different spaces and getting them to go, wow, I had no idea this was here. How does it benefit my clients? And what we've been finding out is when Flux touches a space, we don't just make it look good, because it has to function good. What we spend time doing is studying human factors. We spend time studying the experience of what kind of people are there, who's in the area. You can't force people to change, but you can make places intriguing enough to visually manipulate or draw. And what we've been able to do is take those spaces and create those stories in those venues and draw in that kind of clientele, and now the story spreads and more people are talking and those places get busier and busier. Creating those environments again that people are coming into and they want to feel special when they're in there. They don't want to feel like it's generic. They don't want to feel like the space is too sterile. They want to have a good time and forget themselves. And that is what good design should be about. You shouldn't notice good design. You should just be a part of it. When it comes to being the artist businessman side, I am definitely the artist. I learned this business side as I've gone along. I tell people all the time, they're like, oh, I wish I was doing what you were doing. Then do it. Take a risk. I have art. It's in my heart. It's in my head. I'm passionately driven to it. So if I learn how to use these materials and process and I create something, it becomes a product. And that product has become a business. And then on the other end of that, it's learning all the process of business. So as it's been going along, luckily for me, it started so small that I sold a $50 thing. Well, write in a little notebook, $50, and how much has to go to taxes, and how much were my supplies, and how much was that done, and by the time I'm done, I made 23 cents. I do believe that for the first 3 years, I averaged about 50 cents an hour. But I wasn't doing it for the money, I was doing it just to make art. And to really show people that what we could really focus on was recycling the stuff that's in our own neighborhood. And in those first couple of years, I learned a ton more about what really is going on in Milwaukee or the Milwaukee counties and what we actually have in our backyard. There's a real good connection between the arts and our communities, and places like the Third Ward who still nurture those gallery locations and spaces and give us opportunities to keep showing in there. So it's kind of constantly continuing. And what I usually see happen is once the monies and things that happen in those areas and the taxes and the increases, hard for artists to live in, but then you watch that artist community move on. So where does it go to? It goes to places like River West, and it goes to places like Bayview. And so, you start to see those things kind of merge out. And I think you'll always continue to see that. The next up and coming place will then end up being somewhere developed. It's almost like the creative community is the forefront to the real creativity of a city and how it develops. And for me, I'm just lucky to be a part of it. We're going to create art, whether it's murals, lobby spaces, exterior, interior, functional or non-functional, maybe even furniture, artistic, sculptural furniture, so that when the people come to visit us, say Summerfest, are in our city, are walking around our city going, this place is amazing and they've got really cool stuff. I want to sit in it. I want to picnic in it. I want to come back and visit. I didn't have time for the art museum. I want to see that, and I want to see the festival they have at that park there, and I want to go when they have their parade. Get them to be more involved with the arts by showing it to them. And once you show it to them, and once the city invests in it, you make those definite plans, we are going to change how we live in this city. We're going to draw a lot more people. It's going to create a lot better revenue. And I think we're going to attract other companies. Where other companies right now are looking to go for certain places because they want their employees to have diversity in culture and a quality of life, it's right here. Our quality of life is wonderful here, and I think if other businesses around our country figure out that the quality of life in Milwaukee is fantastic, you're going to get an influx of a whole bunch of other businesses that want to come here. And now we're a competitive market again for manufacturing, for design, for culture, education, and again, there'd be no better place to go. That's my strengths and beliefs behind where I am. That's why I focused here. That's why I plan on staying here.